A little heat for character.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No! 7 times the... Yes! Music, gaming, Disney+, Hulu, ESPN+, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment! Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield, never not working.
Every time I open one of these bottles, I hear trumpets and big band music. The Creole seasoning is a sodium-free and sugar-free blend that's versatile enough to put on anything. One of the first blends I developed more than 8 years ago, the Creole seasoning has an unmistakable aroma, a bold flavor, and a little heat for character.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. You can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable. That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No! 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment! Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulder Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working. Head & Shoulder Scalp Shield, never not working.
Every time I open one of these bottles, I hear trumpets and big band music. The Creole seasoning is a sodium-free and sugar-free blend that's versatile enough to put on anything. One of the first blends I developed more than 8 years ago, the Creole seasoning has an unmistakable aroma, a bold flavor, and a little heat for character.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable. That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to another edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. AD Drew here, waiting on my partner, Brian Fulford. There he is.
What up, boss? How
Dr.
you doing, man?
Drew.
Good to see you.
I'm doing all right, my brother.
You got the opening intro stuff out of the way?
I just introduced the show. I hadn't gotten anything else out of the way. Didn't want to take your job from you, brother.
Look, as we get ourselves together here, happy Super Sunday to you, Drew. Super Bowl Sunday. Are you excited for today's Super Bowl?
Honestly, no.
Me neither.
Look, no HBCU players in the Super Bowl. I am anti-Rams because of what they did to my hometown. And I don't know if I can root for. It's just something about rooting for the Bengals that just don't sound right, man.
Hey, look, your St. Louis Rams were the Bengals 20 years ago. You guys were the dregs of the NFL and the model of inconsistency. And, folks found a way to get behind you guys and celebrate the greatest show on turf. After, by the way,
say that again. What's the Bengals nickname? Okay, my point.
Well, give it time. I don't know. Give it time. I don't know. They have. That's a good question. What should the Bengals nickname be? What is the identity of this team?
Yeah. At least there was a brand behind those Rams teams, because before that they were the St. Louis Lambs.
Yeah, I was going to say you guys became the greatest show on turf thanks to that great trade by who? The Indianapolis Colts, which sent Marshall to St. Louis as we went on and drafted Edgerrin James. So you're welcome for that. You're welcome for that championship and that great run, all thanks in part to the Colts.
Well, I think y'all kind of benefited out of that too, because y'all wound up getting y'all's a little bit later. Also, and with just like St. Louis, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 championship, with that cast of characters that you guys had.
Exactly, and eventually they got it done. So, Yeah, we'll give a little prediction. I was trying to think. I used to really enjoy these Super Bowl Sundays, and I really enjoyed waking up and treated it like a holiday. My dad always kind of treated Super Bowl Sunday like a holiday. It was a great morning, kind of wake up and watch the old replays of previous Super Bowls, starting with they used to put them in the 30-minute packages. So
yeah,
you can watch, you could go back and you could watch, from Super Bowl I, and you kind of learn the history of the Super Bowls every year by just sitting down and watching, and so I'd be watching from pretty much 8 in the morning up until, eventually it became a thing where it just became long. But those are great times, still to this day, the greatest highlight package probably was the Redskins and the Raiders, the one that the Raiders and Marcus Allen with his run. That 2 year, that hour was a pretty good hour where you had the Reds. I don't know if that was back to back. It was the Redskins and somebody. That was the John Riggins run, and then the following year the Redskins lost to the Raiders and Marcus Allen. Whatever 2 Super Bowls that was. I can't even think of the numbers, but I could probably go through and do Super Bowls in order. But if you just randomly said, "Hey Drew, what Super Bowl 18?"
I want to say that was 17 and 18.
Well, see, there you go. See what I just say, 18. I say, "Hey Drew, what's Super Bowl 18?"
Let's see.
Oakland
won 15. San Francisco won 16.
The Bears won 20.
Right, the Bears won 20. See, San Francisco defeated Cincinnati at 16. That would have been 17. The strike shortened year when who did they beat that year? Was that Miami? It was Miami.
Yeah.
Yes. David Woodley was the quarterback.
Yeah. David Woodley. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then the following year,
did the Raiders beat the Raiders beat the Skins because they went back to back.
Yep.
Right.
And then the Niners beat the Dolphins and Dan Marino.
Niners beat the Dolphins, and then you've got 20 where the Bears beat the Pats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I see. Someone said someone said the Bungles. You can't go with the Bungles. They're no longer the Bungles. They got to the Super Bowl. I'd go. The Young Guns feels a little that whole Big Three thing. I'm still, I don't know. We're still looking to see what who knows. They'll come up with something here. But and so you're sure about the HBCU players?
I went through the rosters this morning. I even checked out through the practice squads. Did not see an HBCU player on any of them.
Okay. Well, as we get into today's show, we're here for a good time, not a long time, because we got some Super Bowl planning to do and I'm sure, I will find my way to the TV set to watch it. I just don't have any extra interest in it, if you know what I mean. But I will be.
Do you have any entertainment purposes on this particular game?
Any extra interest?
Yeah, extra interest.
Although I do have people still hitting me up asking me if I want to jump in a couple of Super Bowl squares. So I don't know.
I'm not a squares person. I'm not a big squares person. I may look at a couple of props going into this game, but that's about it.
The biggest prop that I've wanted to take part in is the opening kickoff. Will there be a touchback on the opening kickoff?
That's probably going to be a yes.
See, actually, it's actually a no. Actually, a no has been no has hit 26 of the last 28 years. And I think the story that's been out there among the betting community has been Pat McAfee talking about how that ball that they start the game with is a hard ball because they don't give the kickers an opportunity to kind of soften the ball up. And so once they kick it, it instantly goes to Kenton. so they don't get a chance to really work it in like they normally do. So that thing supposedly is like a brick, as it's been described, which makes it very hard to kick 65 yards on the run. So take that for what it's worth. So, but yeah, so watch out for that prop to see if it hits. Will there be a touchback? The no has hit 26 of the last 28 years. Right? All right. We want to thank you if you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube. Go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you like the show there if you're watching us. And please go subscribe, hit the bell, so that way you can be notified of future notifications. Of course, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and find a way to share the show. It's a Sunday afternoon, so I know not in our normal time slot, but let's be honest, we weren't doing a Super Bowl watch party for the show. So we had a few notes and nuggets and some things we wanted to talk about and get in from the past week, and then kind of move forward into the upcoming week.
And Brian, you just showed the importance of having that like and subscription bell, because if you were not subscribed right now, you might be missing this show. Looking for us at our normal time slot.
Good point. And so I'm dealing with a little froggy throat here. So, you know, I'm powering my way through, Drew. Got my lemon honey tea mixture, some room temperature water. So I got my finger on the cough button. So I will do my best. I will do my best not to phlegm up the broadcast, right? All right, let's talk basketball.
Thank God we're not sharing microphones.
Exactly. Let's talk basketball for a minute. I know one of the bigger stories, obviously, is the gift that keeps giving right now, and that is the story of the Southern Heritage Classic and Jackson State versus Fred Jones versus Tennessee State versus the world. You know, that story we'll get into a little short in a short bit, but I think we want to get through some basketball stuff here while we can. Let's kind of talk about streaks right now, Drew. Some streaks that are going on in basketball, because I think, you know, who are the hot teams right now in HBCU basketball? And right off the box, I think the hottest team, the team with the longest winning streak right now, it belongs to the Miles Golden Bears in the SIAC. Miles currently with a 13-game.
That would be the men version.
Yeah, Miles men with a 13-game win streak right now, with a big win over Tuskegee this weekend, Drew. So that was 13
waiting on me
games.
to comment on that?
No. See, you messed me up. I wasn't throwing Tuskegee under the bus. I was just notating that they were playing Miles. Tuskegee's women did have a 13-game winning streak. They lost to Miles women 71-62. That was probably the big game of the weekend. I will have you comment on that, Drew.
Look, going into Fairfield, Alabama is a tough place for any SIAC team to go in and to play. And Tuskegee went in on a very what was it, a 13-game winning streak, but Miles is not a soft team. Is now it's everyone has beaten up on everyone in the SIAC when it comes to the women's side. Miles has beaten Tuskegee. They split. Savannah lost to Benedict. They have their rematch on Monday. So the SIC West is going to be ultra important. And when you look at it, if seeding were to play out, what a hell of a semifinal matchup that you will have as Miles, Tuskegee, Benedict, and Savannah. You will have to knock off two of those teams to win the SIAC championship. So that is that is a great feat. That is no small task. You know, I don't think right now there's a great advantage 1 through 4 between any of those teams. I really don't. You know, Miles was able to defeat Tuskegee 71-62 with an off night from Tuskegee. You know, let's give a shout out to Kathy. And I hope I'm excuse me, Nadia Kathy. I had her name back with 21 points. Cameron Lundy with 13 points, and Imani Williams with 17 and 9 for Miles, leading the way. Leading the way for Tuskegee was Ariel McElroy with 17 points and 5 boards. Shyla Jackson with 17 and 8. So, you know, Tuskegee, what I find interesting in the stat line, though, for Tuskegee, and this may be the reason why they lost the game, SIC preseason first teamer, India Blakely, with 0 points on 0 for 6 shooting and 4 turnovers in this big ball game. And, you know, Tuskegee, 20 turnovers. You know, kind of a sloppy game. Miles 23 turnovers, but when you got those kind of turnovers from your point guard, it's tough. It's a tough game for any team to overcome.
Yeah, 20 turnovers. It's hard to overcome that. So yeah, Tuskegee
But you know,
women
had 23 turnovers. Just to keep that in perspective, it was kind of a sloppy game for both teams. Great defensive game for both squads.
Yeah,
but you can't have them for the point guard spot.
No, you definitely don't want them from the point guard spot. Speaking of the women, and you brought up how challenging the women's side. You really have those 3 teams there: Miles, Tuskegee, Benedict. Who was the 4th team you were throwing in there?
Savannah.
Miles, yeah, right.
And
right,
2 on each side.
Yeah, 2 on each side. I guess what was throwing me off is Miles's record isn't on the same level with Tuskegee, Savannah, and Benedict, but they've got.
But look at who their losses are to. Their losses are to those 3 teams ahead of them, but they have victories against those teams also.
What I was saying is they also got the championship pedigree. So I mean, they may go in as the 4 seed, so to speak, but they're definitely, like you said, going to be a dangerous out. Now, what I wonder is, you know, with the fact that Savannah State is ranked 20th, you have Tuskegee with a solid record right now. How many teams can get into the tournament, which is going back to its normal 64-team field? Could you see 2 teams coming out of the SIC women on the women's bracket? That'll be interesting to kind of see how that breaks down. This upcoming Monday, Savannah State and Benedict battle. Both of those teams have 7-game winning streaks right now. Of course, Savannah State started the season 14-0 before losing to Benedict. So Savannah State with a 21-1 record, their only loss coming on the road at Benedict. So this Monday in Savannah at 5:30, the big showdown, Savannah State versus Benedict. And I looking at the schedule, Drew, this Tuskegee, I know the Tuskegee Savannah State game Is there a second game that matches up between those two teams, or
No.
did they even play the first one?
No, that because East West only required to play one time.
Okay. So Savannah State.
This is that East West matchup that they'll be playing, and Savannah will be traveling to Tuskegee. And what I find interesting when I'm going through and looking at the polls, and this is the WBCA poll, like you said, Savannah State is 20. Benedict is receiving votes. Tuskegee is not in the poll at all, not even in the receiving votes category.
Yeah, that is
now
interesting.
Going to the D2 SIDA poll, which is the sports information directors. When you go through the regional rankings, Savannah is tied for 4th, Tuskegee is 7, Benedict is 8, and Miles is tied for 10, which is probably going to be more reflective of what the actual regional rankings will be when they come out, which is what the tournament is based on. So just based on that, as of today, you would have 3 of the 4 SIAC teams in the regional, but if you were to go by this poll.
Okay, good to know. Moving on, while we're still in the SIAC, Miles men with a 13-game win streak. We got to give a shout out to Morehouse men. They have a 12-game winning streak, second longest, number 2 winning streak, tied for second most among all HBCU. Current streak right now. They went into overtime to defeat Clark. I believe it was a double overtime, if I'm not mistaken. 91-90, I believe, was the score in that contest. So Morehouse got the win on that. As I'm sitting here trying to, 91-90, double overtime. Morehouse with the win as they get their second win over the Panthers, and that's a nice story. What's going on with Morehouse after the sudden passing of Coach Grady, and so they sort of have found their shot. Right up, Morehouse with a 15-6 overall record, winners of 12 in a row, 12-2 in the conference. Go ahead, Drew. You were going to say something?
No, you're good.
Okay. Upcoming contest.
I thought I had lost you for a moment.
Oh, okay. No, they, looking at who's ahead for them, there looks to be about maybe maybe 3 more weeks left of the season. Fort Valley, Allen, Benedict, Albany, and Savannah State at the end of the year. So it is conceivable. I'm trying to see, the last loss came to Tuskegee. So all of the upcoming opponents they've beaten once. So there is an opportunity, realistically, could Morehouse go to the tournament with a 17-game streak? I mean, it is a minute. There's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but we'll kind of see how it works out for the men. I was looking at the standings here real quick. Their standings, they are a game behind in the win column to Benedict. Nope, check that. The site is wrong. So they will be tied with Benedict, I believe. Both teams sitting at 12-2 in the East. And then over on the West side, of course, you got Miles sitting at 12-1. So we'll see what comes out over the next couple of weeks. Still some good basketball left to be played. Another hot team on a winning streak, Jackson State. The Jackson State Lady Tigers, 12-0, 12 consecutive games. Only one game have they won by fewer than 10 points or more. That was to Grambling. But every other game has been a double-digit victory. And let's put Jackson State in its proper perspective. I mean, what they're doing right now it's worth going back and looking into history books and saying, who are the other teams that have done what they are doing? They've won now 25 consecutive regular season SWAC games, 28 consecutive games against SWAC opponents. So I'm referring to the way they finished last season. Last year, they ended the season winning their last 16 games in SWAC play, including 13 in the regular season and then the 3 in the conference. Only loss, of course, was to Albany State, or it's not Albany State,
Alabama State.
Yeah, they lost that game to Alabama State. And then let's go even deeper in the Williams-Rogan era. The 2019-2020 season, Jackson State had a 12-game winning streak, only had 2 losses in conference play. So over 3 seasons now, under Coach Reed and, of course, being led by Amisha Williams and Deja Rogan, Jackson State has only lost 3 games. By my math, Drew, quick math here. Let's see, 12. I'm not even going to do the math. 3 losses. That's the easier math. 3 losses here over the course of 3 years, Drew. One of the, and it's not over. I mean, they realistically could go. There's 6 more regular season games, 3 more. They can literally go into the tournament with a 20-game winning streak. Where do we put? I mean, is this where? I mean, as you recall and think about great winning streaks, this is. I don't want to say it's
look, Brian. It's UConn-ish.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
UConn-esque. Or Tennessee-esque.
No, wouldn't it be UConn-ish? Wouldn't it be ish? Wouldn't it be an ish?
No, I think I think it would be esque. UConn-esque.
IST.
ISK.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you of course,
ESK probably.
You of course of the term Miakish. I would think you would say this is
UConn-esque.
ESQUE.
Yeah.
All right. You okay? Well, it definitely is. We'll go do the crunch the numbers and kind of see where that fits along with similar runs. But of course, they got to win. They got to win the tournament. It makes you wonder, though, with the SWAC being typically a 1 conference or a 1 tournament bid league, should they stumble, do they have enough street cred to get into the tournament regardless of what happens? Let's just say they, trip up in the championship game. Do they have enough street cred to get there? You know what I'm saying? That's just what I wonder. So not wishing that on them, just asking the question. Other teams on hot streaks right now, you got Xavier women on a 10-game winning streak. Rust women with an 8-game winning streak right now. Already mentioned that Savannah State women, Benedict women with a 7-game win streak, and then Xavier men with a 7-game win streak. Should be noted some other interesting streaks throughout the course or just recently. Talladega had a win streak come up to an end. Of course, they lost a tough game last night to Loyola. That was a top 5 matchup in the NAIA. Talladega lost that game to number 2 Loyola. It's a conference game in overtime, I believe. What was the final score on that one? Do you recall?
I just had it. They lost by like 8. They lost by 8, if I remember correctly. I don't remember what the final score was. Yeah.
Right.
And let's look at that conference before you go into that. You've got Loyola, Talladega, 2 top 5 teams easily in the nation, in the NAIA. You've got a Stillman, who is a top 25 team. You've got a Faulkner, who's if not a top 25 team, a receiving votes team. Can that conference realistically get 4 teams in the NAIA tournament? Because if you look at the history of the NAIA tournament, they tend to favor the plains teams, as I like to call them, the teams in the Dakotas and the Wyomings and the Rocky Mountain region tend to be favored when the seedings come out for the NAIA tournament. Can this Southern-based conference that features two HBCUs who are ranked or nearly ranked, can that conference get 4 in with 2 of those being our HBCUs?
I think, well, all 4. Well, I don't think I was looking at this earlier. Stillman needs to get into the top 25 probably, or do what they did last year, which was get to the conference, go on a run, win the
because we don't. That's a 2 bid league, so the 2 finalists go automatically.
So yeah, so in that case, I would say Stillman, who I think I'm looking at the top 25 now, they are not in the most recent top 25 poll that came out February 9th. So for them to be that 4-team league, Stillman needs to get to the championship, because that way it puts Faulkner, who's currently 18th, Talladega currently 5th, Loyola currently 2nd. It helps those two. Actually, it helps Stillman, but it also ensures, I think, the 4 teams. So that'll be interesting to watch. I mean, just in general there. But I did want to mention Talladega opened the season with a 14-game win streak. And then as we're talking about streaks, Paul Quinn, men, opened the season 15-0 against NAIA opponents. So they had some games against some Division II opponents, I believe, that they lost to. But against NAIA opponents, which all those other games are considered exhibition, but among NAIA schools, Paul Quinn started 15-0. So we'll kind of keep track of basketball streaks and such as we go through. Any other news and notes basketball related, Drew, while we're kind of talking basketball that you wanted to hit on?
What about CIAA?
Well, the CIAA, we've got the final week of the regular season coming up this week, I believe, and then they go into their tournament. I don't have the standings pulled up right at the moment, but nobody out of the CIAA is really in terms of the women or let's go through the standings here. As we go through the men's standings right now, you've got a 3-team race in the Northern Division between Virginia Union, Lincoln, PA, and Shaw, with Virginia Union sitting at 6-2 in the division, 11-3 in the conference. Follow Lincoln and Shaw, both are 5-3 in division. And so that's how they do the seeding in the CIAA based on your division. In the Southern Division, Winston-Salem State sitting at 7-1 in division, 11-3 in the conference. Fayetteville State also 11-3 in conference, but they are 2 games behind Fayetteville. Or Fayetteville State is 2 games behind Winston-Salem right now. And then Livingstone also sitting 2 games behind. So those teams are beating each other up, and it'll be interesting to kind of see how this final week goes for the men. For the women, Elizabeth City State and Lincoln, PA, both sitting at 9-2 in division, both sitting at 10-4 in conference. Elizabeth City State on a 5-game winning streak. So let's see the schedule. Take a look at the schedule here in a second and see whether Elizabeth City State and Lincoln are playing each other this upcoming week. Elizabeth City State has Virginia Union on Wednesday, and then on Saturday they've got Bowie. And Lincoln, PA. Lincoln travels to Shaw on Wednesday, and then they host Virginia State. So both teams, one home, one away. So we'll see how that plays out. Over in the Southern Division in the CIAA, Johnson C. Smith leading 7-1 in the division, 9-4 in conference play. 2 games ahead of Fayetteville State and Winston-Salem in the Southern Division. So that is what's happening in the CIAA. And, of course, the CIAA tournament, the last weekend, I believe it's the weekend of the 25th through, I don't know. Let me see. What date is it? Start on Wednesday? It start on Wednesday the 23rd, the CIAA tournament?
I believe so. That sounds about right.
Right. So, again, this is the final week of the regular season, Saturday being the last game. Any other notes, basketball related?
We talked about rust. I'm trying to go through the GCAC. I think we got Florida Memorial streak. They were in good contention there in the Sun Conference, and I'm talking about on the women's side, but they lost 2 or 3 games this past week with their loss Saturday to the Southeastern Fire. That's another team.
Number 1 team in the country, Southeastern Fire.
Yeah, that's another team we need to watch out for. So
they're 11-4. Florida Memorial is 11-4 right now. I think they're either sitting in second or third heading into the tournament. Should make mention, I guess we'll make mention here shortly of the SWAC men as
it's 11 of the 12 teams are in contention. That's the best way to put it for the SWAC men.
And as I firmly believed 2 weeks ago, even a week ago, there's a top 5, and then there's the next 3 in terms of the 8 teams going into the tournament. The top 5 right now, Southern and Texas Southern. Southern lost on Saturday. Texas Southern winning against Grambling, that game on NBA TV. Texas Southern, just the darlings of NBA TV right now, as they go 4-0 in their 4 appearances. I'm talking 2 wins by the women, 2 wins by the men, as they traveled to FAMU, Florida A&M a couple of weeks ago, and hosted Grambling Saturday. Good crowd. Seen some nice shots there. But Texas Southern, I think they've won 5 in a row, 6 in a row. You know, they're the new hot team in the SWAC. As Southern lost, so now Southern and Texas Southern are tied for first. 1 game behind those 2, you've got Florida A&M, who lost to Jackson State. You've got Alcorn State, who lost to Bethune-Cookman. And then Grambling, of course, Grambling losing to Texas Southern. So that's your top 5.
Then there's a gap. And then there's the next 6. Turn your mic on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, everybody's at 5 and 7 in that next group. And you pointed out the team that might be on the out is Prairie View, who are 5 and 7, but they really have those 2 forfeits hanging over their head at the beginning of the year, that they are currently in 10th, tied with that group of teams in 6th place. So, again, only 8 go to the SWAC tournament, and if the SWAC tournament started Monday or next week, they would be out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens down the stretch. All right, Drew, let's take a break, come back, talk a little about it, some of the coaching news that happened over the week, and then we'll opine a little bit about the Southern Heritage Classic. And we just got some questions to ask. You know, the gift that keeps giving is this whole story regarding the Southern Heritage Classic, Jackson State and Tennessee State. So we'll talk about that and more coming up on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back after these words.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment. Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin.
Oh, excuse me.
Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Ever not working. Never, ever not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield, never not working.
Every time I open one of these bottles, I hear trumpets and big band music. The Creole seasoning is a sodium-free and sugar-free blend that's versatile enough to put on anything. One of the first blends I developed more than 8 years ago, the Creole seasoning has an unmistakable aroma, a bold flavor, and a little heat for character.
We're back on the BCSN Sports Wrap. He's Brian Fulford. I'm AD Drew. And Brian, it's time to get into some coaching news of the football variety. And Brian, so much out there, so many coaching changes after National Signing Day. So before we even start talking about the various coaching changes, Brian, what's your take on these schools waiting to after the National Signing Day to announce who their next leader is going to be, and did it affect recruiting?
It is amazing to kind of see that there are some schools that still had signing classes despite everything going on. I don't know if that – I think that speaks volumes to the assistant coaches, the planning that they did. Obviously, hopefully that earned them an additional year on staff. You know, for these new coaches, they're the ones that I think – here's what I think. I think there'll be there could be a lot of movement after practice. That's coming here in February. They've got to hit the ground. They're hoping that the off-season conditioning program. You
kind of broke up there, Brian. Brian, start your point over. You kind of broke up during the middle of your take there.
I was just saying that if the off-season conditioning program is already underway, you're hoping that it looks like something, and you're going to have to go. You're quickly trying to implement some things in the spring, but it's going to be a slow build. You know, I mean, this this process will be a 5-month process leading all the way up to fall camp of getting guys to sort of take home notes, take home video, setting a lot of things up, how you want things to happen. So the teams that look worth anything in the fall, especially with these new coaches, it'll speak to the organizational structure from the staff and the athletic department.
Well, and let's be real, I've been around this game called college sports for a while, Brian. Most of these teams do who their probable coach was going to be a little while ago. It's not like, announcement on Tuesday, we decided to hire this person on Monday. No, a lot of these teams have been going through contract negotiations with the various schools. So with that being said, that means that at least that recruiting coordinator, somebody who's already there at that university, is going to be there, because it's kind of hard to say, hey, go out and get me these kids, and then you fire me the next week or decide not to retain me on your staff the next week. Why would I go out and do all this hard work for you and me not be able to reap the benefits? Like you said, an additional 1 year for those people there on staff doing that recruiting. Now, your job function may not be the same. If you were the previous offensive coordinator named as interim, you may not be the new offensive coordinator when this new coach comes in. But yeah, it's real interesting to see how these things get tackled. And Brian, the first one that I want to get into, not to sound like a homer, is Clark Atlanta University naming longtime Tuskegee head coach Willie Slater as their new leader. And this came out, first of all these coaches hires were not Friday news dumps. You know how I feel about Friday news dumps, Brian. None of them were Friday news dumps. Although one did go under the radar, and we'll get to that one in just a moment. But
and somebody did get hired earlier in the year on a Friday, right? That has happened before already.
That has happened. Right? Just like people have resigned on Saturdays. So, but yeah, there were no Friday news dumps in these. But yeah, Willie Slater becomes the next head coach at Clark Atlanta University. Willie Slater, longtime coach at Tuskegee University, spent 16 years as head coach at Tuskegee University. The last 4 of those as / athletic director, head coach, and athletics director at Tuskegee University. And for Coach Slater, in my opinion, this gives him an opportunity to get back what he does well, and that is coaching. During those first 12 years when he was coach only, he was the winningest coach percentage-wise in Tuskegee University history. That first year when he was athletics director, he also was also had a good winning percentage. The difference is between that year 1 and years 2, 3, and 4, he had an associate athletic director or assistant athletic director to handle the business of the athletic department during football season. So when that person left Tuskegee University and took a job at another university and was not replaced, that's when you started to notice the slide in Tuskegee's record with the back-to-back 5-5 seasons, and then the 3-7 season, 3-8 season of this year, Brian. So Willie Slater gets back to what he does best, because like I've said before, the man didn't all of a sudden forget how to coach these last 3 years. There were just a lot of outside things that were taking up his time, taking up his obligations, that did not allow him to do what he did well. And Brian, this is only the second time that Slater has coached or played ball outside of the state of Alabama. He spent some time at Temple. That would be the only other time that he was not within the state of Alabama in his playing or coaching career.
And first off, Drew, did this catch you by surprise? Did you know? Because you're pretty connected with Tuskegee. Did you know this was happening?
Short answer, no. So yes, it did take me by surprise. But when you go back and look at it, Brian, and I'm speaking as an alum right here. Take the BCSN SportsWrap off. There was something that was not right about how the whole situation ended with Coach Slater. Came into the season with the ugly loss. That's the best way to put it. The ugly loss to Fort Valley State. With that ugly loss, there were people around the university, alumni, and other people. Yes, I'm calling out a few alumni who were calling for Coach Slater's head. Not once in that whole time did people say, "Hey, this man can still coach. Let's let him coach. Let's hire a new athletic director and just retain him as head coach." And who knows? That may have been something that was thrown out to Slater, and may have been something that he decided that he did not want to do. I don't know the backstory of that, but I've always felt that if Slater were coaching only, he would have been fine. And when you couple that with the turnover that he had on his staff below him, he probably felt that he had to take a bigger role. Obviously, when you've got new people, you've got to. There's certain things that they bring. That's why you hire them. But there's certain things that you believe in, you instill in your program that you want to believe in. And there was turnover those last 3 years on his staff. So, people started calling for his head. Then, right after the SIAC regular season, between the regular season and the SIAC championship, it was announced that he was no longer going to be the athletics director, and that the coaching position was going to be decided by the new athletic director. Then there was a rumor that he was going to retire after the Turkey Day Classic. He did not retire after the Turkey Day Classic, which took a lot of people by surprise. Made you wonder, like, what the hell? then you hire former coach from currently with your rival, Reginald Ruffin, as the athletics director. Then that became an interesting dynamic to this, because Reginald Ruffin, former defensive coordinator for Willie Slater on some of those championship teams that Slater was head coach on, how was this going to play out? Was he going to keep his former mentor as the head coach and just run the business of the university? Well, we found out real quickly, like, no, I need to have both these jobs right now. Now, we don't know what the factors in that were, but you never heard a statement, not only from Slater, but from Tuskegee University, on what his status was, because there were rumors he was going to be retained as a special consultant to the athletic department. There were different things flying around, and then out of left field, he had where? Say what? Let me get off my soapbox before I say something, and I won't be able to go back to another homecoming.
I'll say it for you. The way y'all treated Coach Slater, Tuskegee, we were wrong. It was wrong. It was shameful. That man deserved way more than what you gave him as he walked out the door. Hold on. I'm going to go to goldentigers.com. Let me go to goldentigers.com and go look and see, did Tuskegee give him the proper well, that's not the website. What's the website?
Yes.
It's not
Golden Tigers. Golden Tigers Athletics.
Golden Tigers Athletic. Yeah. So Golden Tigers Sports. Come on now. See, you don't even know their own website. Come on. Anyway,
look, I just do a little typing and it pops up automatically on my computer.
As I go through the news section, right? I'm going through the news section. There's no story that says, Coach Slater steps down, or we're moving on from Coach Slater, or we thank Coach Slater for how many years?
16.
How many championships?
I
mean, whatever you plug in the numbers, nothing.
Yes,
nothing on the website.
Brian, if you want to find out all the information on Coach Slater, go back to the article that I wrote on Coach Slater and gave him his roses on his way out the door.
Or I'll read even better. I'll read what Clark Atlanta wrote about Coach Slater. Slater spent the past 16 years at Tuskegee, where his teams were 123-47, winning SIAC titles in 06, 07, 08, 09, 2012, 2014, 2017. The 2007 squad was the HBCU national champion with a 12-0 record. His teams had 9 wins in 8 of his first 10 seasons, and had winning seasons in 9 of those 10 years. Slater has won more SIAC championships than anyone in the SIC. They didn't even capitalize the word anyone, but I would have. All right. He was the National Coach of the Year. But anyway, I can go on. That comes from Clark. Clark did a better press release than Tuskegee did as he walked out the door. So, Drew, I know you can't say it, but I'm going to say it. You're wrong, Tuskegee. The way you treated Coach Slater, you were wrong. It's going to come back to roost when Clark Atlanta catches a hold of you this upcoming season or the next year or whenever Clark and Tuskegee play. You best believe the chicken's going to come home to roost on that one. That was so. Moving forward, okay? I'm going to get off that box for a second. The interesting part of the press release is what Coach Slater says in his comments. He said, quote, "I think the facilities are impressive. When guys come here, they'll see that the program is headed in the right direction. The administration is dedicated to making the program competitive, and I think that once the young men get there, they're going to understand that and see that. That excites me. I'm assuming that excites me. I'm excited about this program." He said everything you needed to know right there. Facilities, impressive. Administration, dedicated to making the program competitive. Hello, Tuskegee. He's talking about y'all. He's letting you know how he really felt, and he's mad you didn't give him his flowers as you pushed him out the door. So that's all I got to say on that one. But I can't wait for Clark v. Tuskegee. I'd love for that to be an SIC championship. I'll make my early prediction, Drew. Can I make my early prediction now? Clark versus Tuskegee in the 2022 SIC championship. Is it too soon? Is it too soon? That's all I want to know. It's too soon. Okay.
It's too soon.
All right.
It's too soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And before we move on from the SIAC West, Brian, do you realize that every coach in the SIAC West, the most experienced coach, is at Lane College?
Wow. No, I didn't know that until you said that earlier.
Yes.
Better question. How many people can name Lane's head coach? I mean, I'm just saying that just to be like, do you know who he is? I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, unfortunately, Lane had a good season, but not too many people are going to know who their head coach is. I'm not going to I'm not going to lie and tell you I know him either, because I don't. I'm sitting here looking online to figure out who the coach is.
But Byron Brown,
okay,
is the head coach. Guess when he took the job at Lang?
It was late. He took the job late.
2 years ago this month. February
so he had
of 2020.
He had the COVID.
So he only has 1 year. Everyone else is in their first year with their team in the SIAC West.
But obviously the most experienced coach is Ruffin, though.
Yes, but when you consider currently with their team,
Right.
Brown has been with his team longer than anyone in the SIAC West, which was going to make the SIAC West interested, just like Slater going over to the East is going to make that is going to be interested in the East. When you add Gabe Giardina, you've got Freeman right across the street at Morehouse. Now you've got a Willie Slater in the SIAC East. It's going to be interesting to see what Savannah does, as that's still one of the openings that we have. We know that they have the players there. Do they have the leader for those players? And Benedict is a hit or miss team every year when it comes to the SIAC. And well, Brian, you may get your wish, because will the SIAC move Clark and Morehouse into the West to balance the divisions out, as you've got Edward Waters coming in, which would mean Tuskegee and Clark would be on an annual rotation at that point. Interesting to see how that's going to turn out.
It makes the most sense to move one or both of the Atlanta schools over to the West, in my opinion.
Right. And the other reason, Brian, that the SIAC West has all these freshman coaches is because of the story that went up under the radar, Brian. And that is Charlie Jackson at Kentucky State. Resigned from Kentucky State just before National Signing Day to become the assistant head coach at his alma mater, Air Force, in Colorado.
Hey, good, truly one of my favorite coaches in the SIC. I had the pleasure of talking to him in 2019. I still remember it. I still predicted. I mean, he and Coach Quinn, who those are two losses that are significant, I think, in the SIAC. The fact that you lost Quinn and Jackson after just 3 years, 2 seasons, two very innovative coaches who took. I mean, think about what Jackson did. Jackson took over a team that was winless, 0-10. Bottom, the dregs of the SIC, instantly turned them around. They went 14-7 in the 2 seasons. I don't know whether you say 3 years, 2 seasons, however you want to say it. But the 2 seasons they played, he upset a couple of he upset Jackson State in his first year. Actually, they beat 2 FCS schools in his first year. He really contended this year. That team for the West title this past year. And Drew, most notably, what he can probably, I know he's a defensive guy, right? But he will get credit for coaching in the first and maybe the only perfect offensive game that has ever taken place in black college football, to my knowledge. And that was when they went a perfect 10 for 10, 10 drives, 10 touchdowns, no punts, perfect passing, no turnovers, no punts. I might have said no punts twice against Edward Waters last season. The perfect game. You give me a better perfect offensive game, and I'll consider. But to this day, Charlie Jackson, the head coach of Kentucky State, when they did a perfect offensive game, one of my and look, he's going back home. So, look, you can't fault him for going back home. He's going to be an assistant head coach. Charlie Jackson will be a head coach in college. Who knows? He's got NFL ties. He might end up becoming one of those guys we hear about 10 years from now. But really impressive time, and I hope Kentucky State was able to, or is able to, find somebody that can sort of replace and continue, because he really changed that program around, and he left it in a better place than when he got it. And that's all you can do. That's all any of these coaches, any coach can ask to do, is to leave it in a better place than you found it. And hopefully the administration doesn't screw it up the next year. That's all you can do.
Staying with the SIAC, Yeah, no, this is not the SIAC Sports Wrap. This is the BCSN Sports Wrap. Just happens to be that all the news is in the SIAC. Sean Gibbs comes over from North Carolina A&T and is now the head coach at Fort Valley State University. Brian, your opinion on this one?
Good pickup for Fort Valley. Gibbs has a nice pedigree, 19 years of assistant coaching, most notably at North Carolina A&T. He's a North Carolina Central guy. He spent some time there as well, spent a couple years at Grambling. Most notably, he was the running backs coach at A&T, and I believe every season but one since 2011, he had a running back rush for over 1,000 yards. And of course, some of the names that were there, and you know, I see our guy Jamie Walker is checking out the show. He knows these names very well. Mike Mayhew, who was a MEAC Offensive Player of the Year. Then, of course, after him, you had the Tariq Cohen years. After Cohen, I think, what else did you have? I'm just kind of Cartwright, Markel Cartwright. And then Jermaine Martin. So, I mean, all four of those running backs were part of great successful teams at North Carolina A&T, and Gibbs was a major part of their success. And so he comes over to Fort Valley, and it's a good opportunity for him. So, you know, he spent his time, 20 years as an assistant coach, and so it's time for him to start to make that progression forward. And who knows? I'm telling you now, I don't know how long Coach Washington has as the head coach. I'm sure I'm not writing him off and saying it's going to happen in a year or two, but would not be surprised in 3 to 5 years should Coach Washington decide to step down or move on, or worse, you know, it doesn't work out. Coach Gibbs will be nice and seasoned and ready to take over there at North Carolina A&T should that open up. But we'll give him some time at Fort Valley. I know I'm writing off his future before he's even started his first game, but that just goes to speak to how nice of a selection that is for Fort Valley State. So good for them. So SIC gets a little bit better with some of their coaching hires, and it'll make for a fun upcoming season. Any other coaching?
Am I missing one? Or were they all in the SIAC?
No, I think we
Tyrone Wheatley. Forgot about Tyrone Wheatley.
Yeah. What is it? Wheatley is leaving, but I don't. Is it official that he's left yet, or is this just rumors?
I believe this is. I don't think an official statement has come out, but you know, with that smoke, that's fire, especially that type of smoke, Brian.
Right. So the speculation was that Wheatley, where was he headed? Where was potentially he was heading back to the NFL with was it Houston?
Yeah, Houston Texans.
Well, on Lovie Smith's staff. Supposedly that is
correct.
Yeah, that's supposedly the rumors that are running around. So we don't know. I haven't seen anything official yet. But
and you know the NFL doesn't like to put that type of news out during Super Bowl week, so we expect something to come out next week on that.
No. Let's backtrack for a second. It's not Houston. It's the Denver Broncos. So this is I'm looking at ESPN report. Tyrone Wheatley or Denver Broncos expected to hire Morgan State head coach Tyrone Wheatley as running backs coach. So Wheatley 5-18 in his, I guess that's 3 seasons at Morgan State. So you know, good for him. You know, it's always good to see, even though coaches may not have had a successful run as the head coach, it's an upgrade. He's getting a chance to sort of upgrade and move up to a job in the NFL. And of course, he's a former NFL player. Spent some time with the Jaguars and Buffalo Bills, and of course, well known as a Michigan running back. So, hey, that good for Wheatley. Good for Wheatley. Losing will do that to you, But I'm sure, I'm sure he hate. No, I mean, all seriousness, I'm sure, he leaves behind some young men that he's really invested his time and energy into. But Wheatley's 50 years old, and it's a good time. It's a good time to move forward. So good luck to Coach Wheatley. If the story holds true and the Broncos do actually hire him again, this is coming from an ESPN article. Apparently, it was first reported by On3 Sports and Pro Football Network. So that's that. All right. Any other coaching news you want to get to?
I think that was the last one that we had on our list there, Brian, unless you've got something in your notes that I missed.
No, sir. Let's get ready to go to a break, Drew. Come back. Let's ask some questions. We got questions to ask of this super messy situation going on in Memphis, Tennessee. And we're going to ask questions. Not really sure who we're going to get answers from. We're just asking questions. That's what we do. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable. That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too. Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Okay, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here. All right, AD, let's get into this the timeline and some of the things revolving around the Southern Heritage Classic story. Because since our last show, new developments have happened. 1 minute they're out.
You
1
mean
minute.
more new developments?
Oh, more new developments since we've last
I say,
talked.
man.
1 minute they're out. 1 minute they're back in, and I'm talking about Jackson State. They have notified publicly that they are back in the Southern Heritage Classic for this season. Many are speculating that they will not be participating in the 2023-2024, although I don't know that I read that specifically, but I think what I just read was that they did say that we are participating. And I want to pull up the correct info here. So give me a second as we kind of go through what that timeline looks like. Okay, timeline, and I think it's important to kind of, as I look at this whole thing, I'm looking at timeline, right? When did people know? When did things happen? How did this all kind of spiral out of control? I think it's also interesting, Drew, for any organization, I think when you have a situation coming up, you want to have your key stakeholders on the same page, and that the messaging that's going out, what do I mean? In university, I'm going to use that because this is most recent. When they started to make it known that they obviously had lost to Jackson State, realized that if they were going to make an attempt at postseason play, that they all had to kind of be on brand. The athletic director, the head coach, even the president, alumni, national alumni president. The messaging had to come out, and it had to be consistent as to why should we have an opportunity to play in the postseason, right? And it kind of started, I think, and I asked Coach Simmons this question. I think it started somewhere about late September, early October. And never forget, he had been through this situation before. Once he realized that he had a good enough team to go to the playoffs, and that 1 point loss potentially to a team that really wasn't going to lose. I mean, he knew that it was very unlikely that Jackson State would lose another game. So along with AD Courtney Gaucher, Coach Simmons, other stakeholders involved in the process, got on board with the same message and common message and said that, look, in order for us to go to the playoffs, this is why. We have to obviously win our ball games, but here's why we're deserving. Okay, X, Y, and Z. And then they had to go out on the field and prove it. And Coach Simmons had been in this situation before with Prairie, and they waited till November to start this conversation, right? He started the conversation in October, much to the chagrin of a lot of people that were questioning, why are they bringing this up now? And week after week, as you saw what was happening in football, and you see that FAMU were winning ball games and how they were winning. They had a top-level defense because the stats and rankings all started to show it. People started buying into it. By the time they hit November, the discussion was real that, hey, FAMU is a legit squad. They have a legit defense. They're just as good as anybody else in the FCS. Then they started getting ranked, and they knew they had to get ranked, but they had to bring the attention. So everybody was on the same page. The communication was there. What I have seen in this last 2 weeks, different communication, different people saying different things. Now, yes, supposedly information has been leaked, but let's go back to the
and use that term loosely.
Well, look, let's go to the timeline and let's ask questions, because that's what we're here to do. We're asking questions, right? January 26th is when the SWAC Classic, announcement was made stating that Jackson State was going to be a part of this three-year deal. The first year against UAPB, other years against Southern. That already caught people's. What's funny is the attention was on the Southern games, right? Remember back, everyone's focus was on, oh, what's going to happen to us playing Southern and the home and blah, blah, blah. And then he had to explain to people, well, look, the money works. It's a better deal for everybody, right? Nobody was focused in on 2022. Nobody was looking at this year against UAPB. Why? Because to what everyone knew, Jackson State had a contract, which they signed in 2019, stating that they would play in the Southern Heritage Classic through 2024. Everyone knew. The contract said they would earn about $350,000 too, apparently, according to what I read from HBCU Sports, right? So all of that was out there. Nobody was looking at the current year. Everyone was looking in the future, talking and complaining about the future games. Question for me is, if somebody knew, based on a letter that was going to go out to Fred Jones, the promoter, on February 1 at 6 p.m., stating that we are going to no longer play in the Southern Heritage Classic. If everybody knew that letter was going to Fred Jones, why didn't anybody in the days between January 26th and February 1, were all of those people aware that that was happening? Did anybody say, hey, this is the kind of backlash that might happen? Let's all be on the same page. Let's all make sure we communicate the same thing. If we're asked, if we're asked about it, okay? Did everybody be on the same page? You know, so that's the first thing, and I'm wondering, why was that not done? You know, it's.
Let's put a pin on that.
Okay.
Think we just got a special guest that just showed up.
Let's take a break. Come back for a second, and come back. We got a special guest that's joining us, and so we'll get back to it. Maybe we'll get back to it. If not, maybe we'll have to opine on it a little bit later. Let's take a short break. Come back. Got a special guest coming in joining the show. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
All right. We interrupt what we were talking about earlier because we got a special guest joining us right now, the head women's basketball coach at Savannah State University, Coach Cedric Baker, joining us on the SportsWrap. Coach Baker, how you doing this afternoon?
Fine. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us. And right off the bat, your team is one of the hottest teams in Black college basketball, in women's basketball, every category that fits. And I've had the pleasure of calling several games, and your team is so fun to watch and call. What has this season been like for you at this point, knowing that there's still a lot to come? But at this point, what has this season been like for you?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me again, and appreciate you calling the games. And for us this year, it's been fun coming out of a year of COVID-19. Of course, we're not all the way post-COVID, but just having to now get our fans back in the arena, being able to get on the sideline, create that bonding, with the team, and just kind of do those day-to-day operational things that, coaches enjoy doing, having lunch with your players, meeting in film sessions, in person versus, doing things virtual. So just creating that family-like atmosphere that you need in order to, create an environment that's conducive for learning. But it's just been fun for me to get back in the gym on a full-time basis and get back to a sense of normalcy.
One of the impressive things about your team is I feel like every time I call a game, there's a different way that your team beats your opponent. You have size, you have good shooting and good shooting athleticism on the wings. You have point guards who are quick, push the tempo. You've got your bench plays hard. You've really built I think a championship team. I mean, it's hard to kind of game plan, I think, for Savannah State. Talk a little bit about the process of putting this team together and bringing this particular squad together.
Well, first of all, just putting a program together. You want a program, one that's going to run continuously, through the fall, through the spring, and through the summer. So it's definitely a process, but of course you want a balanced team as well. So we address every position, of course, from our guard perspective, from the wing perspective, and the post. One thing special about this team, it's dime a dozen. Guards come a dime a dozen. Probably wings and forwards come a dime a dozen. But this particular team, I definitely have a true post player who is one of our leading scorers, which she anchors the post. She can score in the post. She can, guard in the post as well. And I'm speaking of Bria Gibbs. So she definitely, balances us out, on the floor. But we're an opportunistic, program. We take whatever, the defense presents in front of us. If it's a zone, we want to be prepared to attack that. If it's man-to-man, we want to be able to, execute at a very high level. But just going into the process, it's all about, recruiting, of course. That's the bloodline of our program. And we just want young ladies that, want to be at Savannah State. That's first and foremost. They want to be here because I truly believe, what you do off the court is going to be a direct correlation to what you do on the court. So it's important within that process, too, to meet their academic needs. So we have kids who are confident in our academic programs, and it carries over to the court, and they're able to, execute and play at a high level and be able to be receptive to the day-to-day grind of a student athlete.
Go ahead, Drew.
All right. Coach,
yes, sir.
People say your team came out of nowhere. But even going back and looking over the last 3 years, you've had fairly decent success. Not at this level, but you have had success. What has been the difference this year with a 20-1 record that you have this year compared to some of the other years where you would have 4, 5, 7 losses by this point in time in the season?
Well, this is my 29th year of coaching women's basketball, and I've been blessed, to have have the opportunity to coach some amazing players. We won the MEAC championship in 2015, and after that year, of course, the university made a transition to Division II. So along with that transition, and along with the NCAA portal, some of those young ladies, they wanted to continue to play at that particular level. So just having to, like we talked about earlier, the process, we had to kind of address recruiting differently. We had to re-identify ourselves, get out to the high school coaches and junior college coaches and to the student athletes and let them know, okay, who we are. We're still Savannah State University, but now, we're a Division II program. So we had to remarket ourselves. So during that process, we lost some kids, we gained some kids. So now this class of kids, they've been in the program 1 year. They've gotten acclimated to our communication system, what we do offensively, defensively, and this is just the fruits of their labor. Last year, we were only able to get in 7 games, but we only had 2 losses. We went 5-2. So we used last year as a springboard for this year, and we've been blessed to have the success that we've had. We've never gotten off to this type of start since I've been at Savannah State, but it's definitely been a joy to coach.
Now, talk about your time with Savannah State as a Division I and as a Division II. For the layman fan out there, talk about just the differences between playing and competing at that level, the Division I level versus Division II level. Obviously, we know there are different scholarship requirements and different things like that. But just for the layman fan, as far as the product on the court, what are some of the biggest differences that there are?
Definitely, Division I to Division II, and I've coached, at both an NAIA level. The resources, have to meet the expectations, of course. But I would say the difference between Division I women's basketball and let's say Division II is just stacking success. You'll have probably 15 McDonald's All-Americans versus, Division II. You may have, 5 to 8, high-level kids. And it's all about, how deep you can go into that bench. But there are great coaches and great players at all levels. And to be honest with you, when you start watching the game, Division I, Division II, hey, fans just want to see a good brand of basketball. And but for me, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, for me, I tell my players, we want to be prepared to play any team in the country. And my number one goal is when a student athlete leaves my program, and if they decide to choose, coaching as a career, I want them to at least have the basic fundamentals of knowing how to go on a college campus or go to a high school or middle school and be able to build a program. So not only am I, concerned with their, career here and their time they spend with me on campus, but I'm also thinking where they want to be 5, 10 years down the road. So, I take on that responsibility and to make sure they're successful, after college. But, the coaching is good, Division I, Division II, to answer your question. But I would say it's the depth and also the size. At Division I, you may run into a couple guards who might be 5'11", 6 feet. And when you get to Division II, you might give up a few inches. Like my 2 point guards, they're probably hitting right at 5'5", 5'6". But being in the MEAC and playing some of the SEC schools, you may get a point guard from 5'10" to 6 feet. But hey, it's a matter of just coming out, playing hard, being successful. And I tell kids, if you really work at it, and really work at your craft, hey, and believe you can be competitive at all levels. And we've had success against, UCF. We beat University of Florida, as a Division I program. So it's a matter of believing, and preparation is the key.
Talking about the brand of basketball, and it's funny you brought that up, because that is what, from day one, that I watched the team early in the season. That's what caught me. The tempo is go. It's like up and down, but it's organized. For those of us who coach, it's not like, hey, it's like, hey, there's an organized break, and it's a full court pressure defense. And as I've studied your team and watched your team, between your guards, and you mentioned size of your guards, and your 2 point guards, Mia Goolsby and Nyla Allen. I think I've got it right. I've called their names enough that I think I got it. They're short, but they run transition so far better than anybody I've seen in the SIC. Now, I haven't. I'll get a chance to see, what everyone else has in the upcoming weeks, but they run transition better than any 2 guards that I've seen. And then you have wings who run, you've got bigs who run. Talk a little bit about that style and the brand of basketball that you're playing, that you're the 15th scoring offense in the country. The tempo, you're scoring in the 70s, 80s. Matter of fact, you had a 100-point game the other day, the other week. Talk a little bit about the brand and the decision to play at that tempo. Is that just something that you felt this team can do? Is it a product of the guard? Just expand on that a little bit for us.
Yes, sir. Well, within our system, I've had the privilege of coaching some, really good guards. Ivy Smith, and we had Ezene Kalu, who played in the Olympics this past summer with, the Nigerian Olympic team, who was an outstanding point guard within the MEAC conference and here at Savannah State University. And this year, we have Mia Guzman, Nyla Allen, who's been, the heart of our team. But it's definitely, by design. My point guard play, they're our first scoring opportunity. And a lot of times in programs, point guards are more so facilitators. But I realize the women's game is so close to the NBA game. Our shot clock is at 30, NBA game is at 24. So it's about tempo and it's about decision making, and also executing the fundamentals at a very high level with pace. So it's by design. To answer your question, we start practice off, 3 ladies down, which is a drill we do, kicking the ball up the sideline, just basic fundamentals, attacking the basket, under control. And those kids have bought into that, but it starts with rebounding. It starts inside. You have to, of course, get a rebound, and then, of course, start your break. And, that's our primary offense, our secondary offense. Then, of course, they have to read and then react, based on the defense that they see, in front of them, whatever defense our opponent, presents. But it definitely starts in practice. And I believe the numbers don't lie. We stat a lot in practice. We stat turnovers. We stat deflections. We stat rebounds. We stat whoever gets a charge in practice. So I'm a firm believer, student athletes, they're visual learners. So if they can see, where they're making progress, it's definitely going to transfer over into real game-like situations. But we definitely want to control tempo. But I'm a firm believer that, good offense comes from good defense. Bad defense turns into bad offense. So we've had some pretty good defensive possessions. So we've been able to get out and run, get some stops. Yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Got a very tough week coming up.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow, you've got Benedict, who
yes, sir.
put the one on you in that loss column, and then once you quote unquote relax from that game, you've got Tuskegee coming up on Saturday. So, and when you look at this SIAC women's side, I mean, you've got 4 teams that have established themselves as kind of the leaders of the pack. Those are the 2 teams I mentioned, along with Miles in the SIAC West. So first, talk about Miles, previous opponent, but I really want you to get into, without getting into your game plan, your 2 opponents for this upcoming week.
Well, Miles College, coached by, Coach Wallace there in Birmingham. They do a great job. He's coming off a, good win versus Tuskegee, and Coach Powell at Tuskegee does a great job. A lot of respect, for the coaches in the SIAC, not to mention, the coach over at Lane, Coach Kim, and Benedict, they have Coach Rice, experienced coaches, championship coaches that they've built, solid programs. We have Benedict on tomorrow, veteran squad. They have balance. They have, quality depth. They have good guard play. It's going to come down to what we do with 1 to 5 seconds on the shot clock. That's going to be, that's going to determine who imposes their will offensively and defensively. It's going to be a great game, for our fans and for fans of, college women's basketball to, come out and see. Amazing, atmosphere here on the campus of Savannah State. So we're excited about playing a Coach Rice, led team. They have the former Player of the Year in the SIAC, the Bay Kid. So we're excited about that matchup with her and Gibbs and my point guards, Bria and Nyla. They're new in the program here. This is Mia's first year playing in the SIC, and Nyla's a freshman, of course, and they're up for the challenge. So I'm excited, about the opportunity, and of course we'll have a game plan, going in. But from a coaching perspective, it's all about adjustments. They at this point, they know our offense is what we like to do defensively, and vice versa. So as the game flow, see how the calls are going, score, time, situation. We want to make the necessary adjustments, and hopefully those things will equate to a win.
I know coaches haven't been in the coaching profession. You don't like to look too forward ahead, but you have to think about this, especially on a conference level.
Yes, sir.
Tournament is coming up. Obviously, only one of you all will win the tournament. Four good teams, only one of you all will win the tournament. Can the SIAC get 2, even 3 teams to the region?
I truly believe so. My experience coaching, at the NAI level, Division I level, I always go into the season thinking championship, even from the first day of practice. We want to be able to execute defensively, offensively, with any team in the country, be it the number 1 team in the country or the number 25 team in the country. And we want to be one of the best teams in our division. And that's why we waste so much importance on the regular season, to have the best season available to us, so that because anything can happen in the tournament, but you want a well-respected program, not just a team, a well-respected program that the administration or your peers feel that you deserve to be in that region play, because it's about the best teams in the region. And I truly believe the SIAC have some of the best athletes and the best teams and best universities and colleges within the region. And, that's what we talk about brand. That's my responsibility here, to put a first-class program on the floor, not just on the floor, but off the floor as well. How we travel, our video equipment, our staff behind the games, our presentation, our fan experience. All those things go into play, and I'm blessed to have a president and AD who want to be TV ready. That's what I always call it, being TV ready. And if you're TV ready and you're doing things first class, you're going to get that respect and start getting 2 and 3 and 4 teams in the region tournament, because that's what happens. People see teams at face value, and we want to. When people look at our conference, when they look at our teams, they want to know, hey, it's quality basketball being played in the SIAC.
Right. Most definitely. And there is quality basketball being played at Savannah State. And again, I'm looking forward to Monday's contest. Hopefully, the social media campaigns have begun. The student bodies get there early, get there at 5, be a part of the pregame and everything. Tip-off is set for 5:30 against Benedict College. Both teams are sitting tied right now in the East Division of the conference, and that is a 5:30 tip-off. Game will be broadcast on Flow Sports. Coach, I got to ask you, seeing as how it's Super Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, do you have an interest, or do you have a side that you're rooting for, LA or Cincinnati?
Well, I'm all things Georgia. I will say that the Falcons are out. So, I like the way both teams are playing. The Rams, great defense there in LA, and I like the offense that Cincinnati is putting on the field. So, I would say I'm gonna root for the underdog. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. I'll root for them on this Sunday.
There you go. Keep it in there. Keep it in the cat family. There you go. I
Hey,
like
there
that.
you go.
Keep it in
Keep
the
it
cat
in
family.
family. That's right. Yeah.
All
That's
right,
right.
Coach. Appreciate your time, Coach Baker, Coach Cedric Baker, Savannah State again. First of the doubleheader tomorrow against Benedict College. Actually, hey, look, student body, everybody, community of Savannah, two good games. I mean, we are expecting
Yes, sir.
two good games,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes, sir.
the first one is going to be a knockdown, drag out. I expect a great contest. Looking forward to it again. 5:30 is the tip off. Get there by 5. That's Eastern time. So Coach Baker, enjoy a little bit of the game tonight, and then good luck to you and the ladies tomorrow. I'm looking forward to calling the game.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me. You guys have a good day.
All right. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time. All right.
Thank you.
Again, Coach Baker, Savannah State University, women's basketball, currently with a record of 21-1. Let's kind of transition into our top 5 for this week, Drew, as we get ready to kind of wrap up the show. I know I had some thoughts and some questions, but hey, maybe we'll do a separate little pod thing on Monday or something if time permits. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll do something. I don't know. I'll get these questions off our chest that we put out there. So let's start. Let me make sure to pull this up, Drew, because we got our top 5 rankings. Again, this is I'm starting to lose count, Drew. Is this 7?
So, who knows, man? Let me see. I've got them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is our 6th release.
Really?
We never released our preseason one, which would have been number 7. We did it internally, but because that was the week of Christmas, by the time we released it, it was actually poll number 1.
All right, so this is week number 6. This feels like 7.
Release
Drew,
number 6. Yeah.
All right, I'll take your word on it. All games through Saturday, February 12th, or is it through the 12th? Correct.
Yeah, correct.
All right, so we're going to start with the Division I men's. These are computer rankings again, and as we do with the BCSN top 5, we only count the games in your division. So, if you're a D1, we're not counting those games against the lower levels. If you're a D2 or NAIA, we're not counting them against the D1s and things of that nature. So we give you credit for what you do within your division. Yes?
And no graphic this week because of the early start time. We're not able to complete all of the graphics.
All right, so let's
have
go.
Those posted to our Twitter.
All right, so let's go 5-1 here in the men's. All right, so if I get anything wrong, you jump in there and correct me. Just outside of the top 5, surprisingly, North Carolina Central and Howard, both sitting outside of the top 5. I'm flabbergasted as I just saw number 5 there. That's right. Number 5 is South Carolina State, coming in to the top 5. Division I men's, record of 10-11, 5-3 in conference. Again, I can't tell. This team was one of the worst ranked teams in all of college basketball a year ago. So to see them in the top 5, that's why I kind of did like, what? That's why I kind of did a double take there, Drew. That's pretty impressive. Number 4, Alcorn State, despite their loss to Bethune-Cookman, they come in at number 4, 9-15 overall, 8-4 in conference play. Number 3, Southern University, tough loss by Southern to Prairie View the other day. They are 12-10 overall, 8-3 in conference play. Number 2 might be the hottest team in the SWAC, or they are probably the hottest team in the SWAC. That is Texas Southern, 11-10 overall, 9-3 in conference play. They're actually tied with Southern, I believe. Drew,
I think Southern lost 2 this week.
They did, yeah, because okay. According to if I looked at the standings, I think I had looked at the men's standings, and I'm just going off SWAC page.com, just trying to make sure that their standings show. So Southern and Texas Southern, they're showing both of those at 9-3 overall.
Right.
So in conference play. And number one, are they back to number one? Because I think they may have lost. They might have lost or fell off the number one spot. Maybe, I don't know. Norfolk State, number one, 13-5 overall, 7-1 in conference play. Were they number one last week?
Yes, they had lost. They had lost it for like a week in January, right around the conference time. But even despite that loss last week, they still maintained a number one ranking.
How about Alcorn State with the second toughest strength of schedule among all men? So even though, like I said, they had a tough loss to Bethune the other night, Saturday, still second toughest schedule overall. Any thoughts you want to quickly give regarding D1 men?
Prairie View, if they get into the SWAC tournament, will be the most dangerous team in the tournament. So
you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Whoever's on that line with Prairie View, buyer beware.
Yeah, good. Well said. Well said. Okay, Division I women's from 5-1. We'll start with the team on the outside. Just missed getting to the top 5. North Carolina A&T, 12-12 overall, 9-5 in conference play in the Big South. Number 5 is Morgan State, 11-6 overall, 5-2 in conference play. Number 4, just barely ahead of Morgan State, is Norfolk State. They are 10-8 overall, 7-1 in conference play. Number 3, Howard University, 12-8 overall, 7-2 in conference play. Number 2, continuing with the run of MEAC schools, is Coppin State, 12-9 overall, 6-2. And you already know who number 1 is. That's without a doubt, unquestionably, Jackson State Lady Tigers, 12-0 in conference play, 14-6. How about the MEAC running 4 of the 5 there, Drew?
What was that song? Which one of these is not like the other? Which one of these is not the same? That will be the team with the and-O in conference, y'all. Jackson State.
And
that's
right.
That's the only question we have left right now. Can Jackson State go and-O in conference?
Right. Well, that's what they're playing for. I feel like any loss would be a disappointment. At this point in the game, it's like, go ahead and go unbeaten. All right, let's move over to Division II men's. Division II men's top 5 computer rankings. Just on the outside of the top 5, we've got Lincoln, PA men, 16-8 overall, 9-4 in conference play, and Fayetteville State, formerly number 1, have dropped all the way outside of the top 5. They are 16-8 overall, 11-3 in conference play. So the top 5, here we go.
Hey,
Number 5.
Hold up, before you get to that, let's give Morehouse some love, who's right there on the cusp also.
Yeah.
15-6, 12-2.
12 wins in a row, but not quite in the top 5. So don't get mad at us, Morehouse Nation. It's coming. Don't worry. Let's go. Top 5. Number 5, West Virginia State. 18-6 overall, 13-4 in conference play. Number 4 from the CIAA, Winston-Salem State. The Rams, 16-5 overall, 10-4 in conference play. Number 3, also from the CIAA, Virginia Union, 19-6 overall, 12-3 in conference play. Number 2, Miles Golden Bears, coming in at number 2, 18-3 overall record, 15-1 in conference play. And, I don't know if you want to say controversially, or some people may look at it as such. Benedict College coming in first, 17-5, 13-2. What do you think factors into that, Drew?
It's just the cycle of the conference schedule. Even though Miles beat a tough Tuskegee team, Benedict had a big win this week also. So it's just hard to say. You know, Virginia Union did suffer a loss this week, which knocked them out of the number one slot. But these three teams have been interchangeable at that top slot all season long, as I believe Miles, Benedict, and Union have all held the number one slot at some point in time this season for us. So, you know, and look, Miles and Benedict hopefully ultimately was settling on the court in the SIAC tournament. So we know that's going to be the case. You know, the only thing I hate to say is West Virginia State, because they don't participate in one of our HBCU conferences. You know, they may play themselves in, or they may be able to play themselves out because they don't have that direct head-to-head in an HBCU conference.
But they actually, West Virginia State, have among the top 5 teams, have the toughest strength of schedule among the top 5 teams.
Yes. Yes, they do play in a tough conference.
Yes. All right. Let's move over to Division II women. Here we go. Division II women, just outside of the top 5, barely missing the mark. Lincoln, PA. The women are 18-7, 10-4 in conference play. And also just missing the top 5 is Miles College. They are 15-5, 11-5 in conference play. Here we go. Number 5, Elizabeth City State of the CIAA, coming in with an overall record of 18-4, 11-4 in conference play. Number 4, Tuskegee. Tuskegee comes in 18-3, 12-2 overall. Barely over Tuskegee in the number 3 spot, and probably due to strength of schedule versus Tuskegee, is Benedict College, number 3, coming in 18-6, 12-2 in conference play. So even though both teams have a total wins are same, conference records the same, despite Benedict having 3 more losses.
And they split in their matchup also.
Oh, they're 2 split. Good point.
Yes.
Good point. Coming in at number 2, West Virginia State, 17-5 overall, 13-4 in conference. And number 1 should be no doubt Savannah State. The Tigers come in number 1, 21-1 record, 11-1 overall, 12 and is that right? What's the conference?
Yeah.
Well, you got 11-1.
11-1. That's what the SIAC website has.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. A 10-1 according to Savannah's website, but all the same, the 1 loss did come in conference.
Are you surprised that the SIAC website has something different than the school's website?
Not at all. So okay. 1 versus 3 matchup on Monday. Savannah State Benedict again. Thanks to Coach Baker for taking some time out of this Sunday afternoon to talk with us. Very, very fun team to watch. I encourage you guys to jump on. If you can't get to Savannah State to watch that game, go to Flow Sports and pick up that broadcast. Let's get to the NAIA. Let me ask, any comments there before we jump to the NAIA, Drew?
No, once again, you got West Virginia State crashing the party between the CIAA and the SIAC. West Virginia State, I believe, they bounced from number 5 all the way up to number 2 based on their conference play, as they have the number 7 strength of schedule. Benedict with the number 5 strength of schedule in the in HBCU basketball. So a couple of reasons why those teams are ranked as high as they are, winning with the strength of schedule that they have.
And just to let people know, West Virginia State currently sitting in 4th place overall in the Mountain East. And in the women, West Virginia State's women are actually sitting in 2nd place in the Mountain East. In front of them is an unbeaten Glenville State, 22-0, 17-0. So that's in front of West Virginia State. So both of those teams are in the top 4. All right, so moving over to the NAIA, right? Let's go to outside of the top 5, Florida Memorial, 13-13, 9-6 in conference play. Number 5 is Xavier, Gold Nuggets, 17-4 overall, 8-3, winners of 10 in a row.
That would be the gold. That would be the Gold Rush on the men's side.
I knew I was going to get it wrong. I knew it was. Oh, wait a minute. We're talking about the men. I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought we were talking about the women. We're talking about the men. See.
Yes.
So let me. So Xavier.
You had the records right.
Yeah. Okay. So the Xavier men are number 5, 17-4. They have won 7 games in a row. Okay. Don't want to get that confused. Tougaloo coming in at number 4. Watch out for them in the GCAC. 16-7 overall. 5-1 in conference play. Number 3 is Stillman. Stillman coming in 17-5, 10-5 in conference play. Number 2 out of the Red River, Paul Quinn, 20-1, 9-1 in conference play. Really is a shame that they're not eligible for play tournament this year. Be interesting to see what that would look like. Number 1 is Talladega, 23-3, 13-2 in conference play. Just suffered their second loss in conference to Loyola on Saturday, and they will get a rematch on their home court. So I think that'll be in a week or so. So that'll be a good opportunity rematch. Any thoughts there on the women or the men's NAIA top 5?
No. I mean, it is what it is. Talladega, Paul Quinn, and then everyone else. But we know chances are Paul Quinn will not be our national champion because with them not being able to go on to the postseason, and we know a couple of these teams will make it to the postseason. So Paul Quinn, enjoy it while you can. But one of those other 4 teams in that top 5 will wind up being the national champion.
See, you say that, and then something strange happens, Drew, and then we're all sitting here like, but Drew said, be careful about that.
Just pass me the hot sauce with the crow.
Okay, let's move over to the NAIA women to wrap this up. Just on the outside of the top 5 is Stillman College, 11-9, 7-6 in conference play. Number 5 is Xavier women, 10 games in a row, 10-1 in conference play, 14-6 overall. Just ahead of them in 4th place, Philander Smith in the GCAC, 19-5 overall, 4-1 in conference play. In 3rd, Florida Memorial. They just finished playing the number 1 team in NAIA on this past weekend. Wasn't close, but maybe they'll get them the 3rd time in the conference tournament. 14-9 overall, 11-4 in conference play. Number 2, Talladega, 15-10 overall, 8-6 in conference play. And number 1, still holding on to number 1, the Russ College Lady Bearcats, 20-2, 5-0 in conference play. And they got a win the other day against Oakwood. Yeah, 64-30 was the final score in that game. Any thoughts, any questions, Drew, or not questions, but any comments or thoughts on the NAIA women top 5?
It's a shame for Lander and Rust playing the GCAC as a 1-bid league. Hopefully the resume for whichever one of these teams loses the GCAC tournament will be strong enough so that they can get 2 teams out of the GCAC into the tournament.
Okay. All right, that's it. Do we want to wrap this up, Drew? And because I know we got pregame to do. We got some pregaming to do. And like I said, I had so much more to talk. I had copious notes that I wanted to get through talking about this kerfuffle this messiness going on in the Southern Heritage Classic. But I digress.
I'm good either way. If you want to hang out, I will hang out here with you for a few more minutes. I'm waiting on our producer, waiting on to see if our producer says something in our ear like, y'all better hang this stuff up.
Yeah, there we go.
That was the response I was waiting for. I think that was our cue to wrap it up.
Just okay. We'll find another time, Drew. I will save my notes and we'll talk about it maybe midweek show.
You know something, Brian? By the time we get to those notes, he just said we could do one more segment.
Go ahead.
I was saying, our producer said we can get one little short segment in. So if you want to take a break and do it, let's do that, Brian.
No, I don't think he wants to take a break. I think he's saying just go ahead and let's finish it out. So go ahead with your thought.
Oh well, let's get into it then, because my thought is my thought was going to be, by the time we get to those notes, the way this story has been changing, those notes will be obsolete.
There'll be another. Again, officially, it's been released officially, right? So yes, I mean the schedule could come out. So I don't even know where I left off. We were talking about the timeline, just my thoughts on just organizational communication, but just summarize the timeline again. January 26th, the SWAC Classic announcement comes out. February 1st is when Fred Jones received the letter from Jackson State. As he stated, he received it on February 1st at 6 p.m. February 2nd is when the Jackson State memo to Fred Jones gets leaked that they weren't playing. Tennessee State president responds accordingly, as we talked about, not happy at all. Fred Jones says he's miffed at what happened. Even Coach Sanders, Coach Prime, decided to reply to a few fans about the business of college football and things of that nature. And then so we sat for 3 days and 4 days and 5 days and wondered what's happening. Why is Jackson State doing this? And I think even on the 4th, there was a planned, at that time, it was planned that Jackson State was going to release their schedule on February 7th. That's at least according to their website. Well, February 7th came around. A schedule did pop up online, but it wasn't officially from Jackson State. Somehow it got out. There was FB schedules that had it. Off Script had it. Everybody on the internet had a schedule that showed UAPB on the schedule. Also notably Grambling. I think that's another one that people look past, the fact that there was a non-conference game at Jackson State between Grambling. And so for a home opener, that's a heck of a draw. That's a 50,000 seat. That's a 50,000 game right there. That's a big home opener that's going to happen. So that came out on February 7th. But again, University comes out and says that's not the official schedule. And so again, we're still wondering, how can Jackson State do this? What are they doing? Why would they do this? And then on February 11th, the Jackson State sends out the notification via their legal counsel that they are back, that they will play in this contest for 2022, assumingly only in 2022. And I was sitting here trying to find the actual note or the letter that J-State sent out. And so based on the letter that came out, it was interesting to read Fred Jones, his response to that, which really I found the most interesting part, that even though, despite some of the commentary in the original memo that was leaked, Fred Jones disputed. I got to pull it up, Drew. Because I don't think I'm doing this fairly if I don't mention what Jackson State released. And I don't know. Do you have that handy? Do you have that?
No, I did not even pull that up.
So if I'm just going to take a quick second here, but that memo came out by Jackson State. They said they're back. Fred Jones kind of came back and said, well, look, it's great to have you back, but you're still in breach of contract. Certain things that you said on February 11th aren't quite necessarily true, so on and so forth. And so here we are, Drew. We still have no schedule yet. And we have questions. So while I look for the official statement from Jackson State, what are your questions?
Who leaked this and why? Question number one. Because in order for a leak to happen, and we've been in media long enough to know, someone had to feed someone that information. And depending on that source is whether you can run with that or not. Even with, as media members, even when we get something and we know it's from a credible source, so that we can protect the integrity of that person who gave us that information, we still have to go through and verify this information with other people. That way, it can't be that, well, only one person would have put this information out, and then you can pin it back to that one person, and that one person gets in trouble, if you understand what I'm saying. So who leaked this information? That's question number one. Question number two I have is, we've seen a schedule with Lane on Jackson State's schedule to be played October 1
as the homecoming opponent.
As the probable homecoming opponent, because it doesn't officially say it, but it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. Which means that Jackson State has 12 games right now. So
unofficially,
how do they unofficially have 12 games? But you only get 11. Something's got to give. Just throwing it out there. And so if it's a Lane game that has to give, now there's Lane, hey, what about our money that we were supposed to get from y'all for coming to play y'all this year? Because now we got to go out and find another game. Are we going to go out and find another check game? Or are we going to find a Division II game? Or are we going to find an NAIA game? And depending on what that game is, could mean some differences in revenue for that particular game, if that is true, that Lane was that opponent, that 11th opponent on the schedule. And then why, irregardless of which schedule that we've seen, Brian, why are we not giving Jackson State some credit for having an all HBCU schedule? I've heard people talk about, obviously you have been reading some of the SWAC message boards on Facebook.
No, I haven't.
That I read through and talk about how weak their schedule is, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Once again, you remember that question I asked, did you saw Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Tuesday that took up half of the show. What do you want, HBCU fans? You've got an all HBCU schedule, especially if Lane is not on the schedule. Now you have an all FCS HBCU schedule. What more do you want out of a Jackson State? So, I mean, they can't win for losing. And my final question is, of those three, okay, you've got those three non-conference games. Let's assume Jackson State loses a conference game and winds up in the exact opposite situation that they did last year when they were the front runners. Let's assume that they're number 2 in the SWAC East. Is their schedule strong enough to garner a playoff bid? with one loss, and assuming that one loss is to the ultimate Eastern Division winner? Those are the questions that I have, Brian.
All right, so I found the official statement that came out February 11th from Jackson State, which reads, last week, confidential legal correspondence between Jackson State University and Summit Management Corporation was leaked, which did not reflect the ongoing communication between the parties. We understand how football fans plan to attend games months in advance, and it was never our intent to abruptly cancel participation during the 2022 season. The 2022 Southern Heritage Classic between Jackson State and Tennessee State University will be played as originally planned. We are pleased with this conclusion and look forward to bringing the SWAC Championship JSU Tigers back to Memphis in September. Here's the key line: for one final battle on the gridiron. Ooh, So, what are they saying? They're hinting at that 2022 will be it, despite what?
Yeah.
The fact that there is a contract, according to Fred Jones, that runs through what? 2024, right?
Right. And Brian, and another question is, when is that game going to be played now? Because it is assumed that the Southern Heritage Classic and or the SWAC Classic, because it is assumed that right now these games are on the same day if the Grambling game is scheduled for the 10th of September.
Fred Jones is making it very clear, even in his statement following Jackson State's announcement there, he says that the 33rd Southern Heritage Classic football game in Memphis, actually, he said, we are pleased that Jackson State will be playing Tennessee State in the 33rd Southern Heritage Classic game in Memphis on September 10th, 2022. However, he says, however, we do wish to set the record straight. Now, here's my thing. Him setting the record straight, what's the benefit of doing this? Because the next several sentences, again, only do what? They go to prove, I guess, if you establish something for later future purposes, for future legal purposes, you're definitely not doing it for the benefit of Jackson State. You're doing it with, I think, what? Future thoughts on legal proceedings, because he does state in his statement that he still feels, he says, he goes on to state that when General Counsel wrote his letter on February 1st, he did not state that JSU will play in the 2022 Classic. He did not state that JSU would like to buy its way out of the 23 and 24 contract years, and was putting us on notice that we need to try to find a replacement team. No, his letter was crystal clear. The letter is entitled Notice of Termination, and the second paragraph begins with, therefore, the correspondence shall serve as notice of JSU's termination, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, Fred Jones is like, hey, I'm glad to have you guys back, but I'm just going to load up this blowtorch, and I'm still going to blow it at you just to let you know. I mean, look, it's amazing, Drew.
You know what this is? We gonna make this money this one last year. It's almost like Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in The Last Dance.
Oh, okay, I see.
We gonna get this championship this one last year, and then we gonna go our separate ways. And this is almost that similar type situation, except HBCU football. We gonna do this thing this one last time. I'm gonna sign for this one more year, but I'm out of here after this. Oh, we just seen this with Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers. We just saw this.
So the biggest things is obviously we asked about questions. Obviously, UAPB's kind of left in the wind, trying to figure out what's going to happen. What happens with the SWAC Classic between somebody and somebody. I mean, the game in Birmingham. There's a game in Birmingham that has to happen, right? Who's going to be in that? Is there still a way for Jackson State to find their way into this? Who knows who it's against? You're not going to take the game. Jackson State's not going to give up the game against Grambling. Grambling has on their schedule that they're going to Jackson State on the third week. And Jackson State's not giving up that big payday against Grambling. I mean, that's going to be a big game. So you can count out that game being moved to Birmingham, right? I think that game is out. As you said, what's left? I mean, if again, no schedule has been officially released, but I'm just looking. If you go to FB schedule, which I mean that's the internet, so they get their information from different places, so it's not an official schedule. So want to remind everybody, got to wait till Jackson State official, and I don't think the official schedule is going to come out until they sort out this whole thing. But again, I'll close all of this. We've asked some interesting questions, but again, I go back to being on the same page. And if you go all the way back to January 26th, when you made the announcement about the SWAC Classic, I feel like somebody in that room of decision makers should have said, well, what are we going to do about the Southern Heritage Classic, and what are we going to say when people ask us about that game? Just a thought, just a thought that getting everybody on the same page sure does make you look a little bit better out into the masses. Okay. So maybe somebody else jumps into the SWAC Classic this year. I don't know if there's any contracts that have been signed yet. We don't know. Even though we were given indication through the release that Jackson State is a part of it. Who knows? Maybe two other schools step in, right?
Well, just looking at, according to FB schedules, Saturday, September 10th, of some of the games that are out there. Valley travels to Austin Peay. FAMU hosts Albany State. Prairie View travels to Abilene Christian. Alcorn travels to Tulane. Northwestern State travels to Grambling. Southern travels across town to LSU. Alabama A&M travels to Troy. Texas Southern travels to North Texas. Alabama State goes out to UCLA. South Carolina State travels to Bethune. UAPB plays Jackson State in Birmingham, and Jackson State plays Tennessee State in Memphis. So everybody's playing on the 10th, and most of these games are revenue games for the opponents, the SWAC opponents.
Again, I just my mind is blown that you just really thought you were going to walk out of that contract and just go on to the next thing. I mean, I just, that is mind blowing. But
all right, but there is, if you want to bring a BAC team in there, as of right now, Norfolk at James Madison, Howard at South Florida, Morgan State at Towson, Delaware State at Delaware, South Carolina State at Bethune, North Carolina Central. You're on the clock.
I don't know. That doesn't sound like a SWAC.
This has the same. Sounds like another SWAC BAC challenge.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. I don't know. It doesn't scream SWAC. So that's what we're waiting on next. I guess the next question is, we wait to see what happens with the SWAC Classic. I guess that's the next question that has to be answered. And this news, if is kind of taking on a life. If I'm Jackson State, I'm promoting the hell out of my women's basketball team. I'm talking about them in every place that we can. Promote them. Try to get away from any publicity related to this stuff. regarding the Southern Heritage Classic and get to talking about your women's basketball program. That's the program that needs to be getting the full dress and attention of your media efforts, and get this team, because, again, 25 consecutive wins in SWAC play, 28 consecutive wins against SWAC opponents. Pump the heck out of that, man. And maybe we'll forget about all of this other stuff, going on. And, Fred Jones doesn't have to pull out the blowtorch every time you guys drop a memo or a note. So just a thought.
Just one other note. Pulled up Hampton's schedule. Hampton right now doesn't have anything on their schedule, but we know they're transitioning conferences. So there are two HBCU teams on the FCS level that have not officially released a game on September 10th. If Jackson State has to do something, and that being Hampton and North Carolina Central. Everyone else has released that they're playing on that date.
Well, this is fascinating. This is a fascinating case study on operational management and communication, organizational communication. It's a fascinating case study that we'll continue to watch. We'll ask questions, we'll opine about, and eventually we'll know what happens, and then we will react. So I will stay out of the Facebook message boards. I go to you for those kind of things, and let all that other stuff go. All right, Drew, we got to get out of here. Final score and result for tonight's Super Bowl: Bengals Rams. Final score and outcome. Oh, let's go. Final score MVP. Final score MVP.
I'm taking the Bengals and the points, but the Rams for the outright win. How about that?
What's score? What's your score?
I think it's going to be in the 20s. I think it's going to come down to a last minute drive, and I think Joe Burrow will have the ball with the opportunity to drive the Bengals to victory, and the Rams defense will step up and make a play. Somebody on the Rams defense will make a play. And my dark horse for MVP is OBJ.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think because of all the attention elsewhere on the Rams offensively, I think he can potentially have one of those breakout games, because everybody's going to be focusing on Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford and the running game and everything like that. Either that or Donald. Those would be my two.
I'm gonna, you try to think about scores and how the numbers are going to play out. I'm gonna go Cincinnati. I'm trying to see how this is going to play out, because I'm factoring in 3 Cincinnati field goals, so I have to figure out those 9 points. I figure out I'm going 3 field goals by Cincinnati in this contest.
16 or 23.
Well, okay, so is it 23? So if I go 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals, what is that? 14
That's
plus
23.
9 is what? Man,
it's 23.
do I think? Hey, can they play good enough defense to beat the Rams and hold them? So I go 23-21. 23-21 Bengals. 23-21 Bengals. Ooh. There you go. +4 Bengals, +160 on the money line. And of course, I like the kicker. I don't even know his name. I can't think of his name.
If he hits 3 field goals, he would be the leading candidate for MVP.
Game-winning field goal. Look, I think give it to the kicker as the MVP of the Super Bowl. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And be tuned in to the halftime show as well. Should be interesting to see. I want to see, speaking of the halftime show, and then we're going to get out of here, I want to see if they do a version of California Love. Watch this, with Mary J. singing the Roger Troutman hook, and Snoop Dogg, or probably Snoop Dogg. I think Snoop Dogg would do it best. Snoop Dogg singing the Tupac verse. That's the and that has to
Interesting.
open. That has to be. If you listen, I heard the lyrics today. I was listening to something. If you listen to the lyrics of California Love, you have to start as the first song. That has to. I can't think of any other song on anybody's playlist that makes more sense to start than California Love. You got to start there, you know. So that's just my take. We'll see what happens and what doesn't happen. That's going to do it for this show. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1. Want to give a shout out and thanks to Coach Cedric Baker of Savannah State. You guys make sure to check out that game tomorrow against Benedict College. Our number 1 versus number 3 teams of our top 5 will be Monday afternoon starting at 5:30. And then afterwards, you've got the Savannah State men taking on our number 1, Benedict. So we got our number 1 teams in Division II playing tomorrow. That should be interesting. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on your Google or Apple Play Store. Just search My JBN and My BCSN. And don't forget, our shows are available on Pod. Go search for BCSN Pod Zone, and you can listen to all of the shows on the Black College Sports Network anytime you are driving to or from work. All right, Drew. Appreciate our producer, Roy, for hanging in there with us. Drew, enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll talk later. I'm Brian Fulford. That's AD Drew. Peace out, everybody. Be safe and enjoy the game.
I holla.
But stay hard.